What's going on, everybody? I'm Alex Americano. If you're in a position where your actions and your performance in said position can have a direct impact on crime, on shootings, on everything that would make a city unsafe, would you take those steps to make sure that that city is a safe place? Or would you allow your city to become like Chicago or San Francisco? We have a story here from the Philadelphia D.A., Larry Krasner, blaming state Republicans for city crime, for all of the crime that's going on in the city. Instead of taking the blame and doing your job and ensuring that crime goes down, you'd rather deflect blame. He's taking a page out of Lori Lightfoot's playbook, because rather than being the one to prosecute criminals, prosecute for crimes, you just want to let them go scot-free and just shift the blame. Start with the article. At a press conference early last week, District Attorney Larry Krasner responded to shootings over the July 4th weekend that claimed the lives of 4 Philadelphians across the city, including the nephew of a state senator. Now, during the weekend of July 4th, there was a lot of articles, a lot of news in the mainstream media outlets saying that there was plenty of shootings over the weekend. But if you look at where those shootings were, where the incidences occurred, a majority of them happened in places that already have bad crime going on, that already have high crime numbers. Chicago, New York, San Francisco, L.A. So these few places alone contributed to most of the crime, contributed the most to that number. But of course, it's everybody else's fault. It's not the people in charge that are supposed to ensure the safety of everybody. It's your fault for being a Republican or a conservative. Just on the basis of that. You want change? You better vote. The bottom line is we're not getting any change out of the state legislature until you have a Democratic majority. You're not getting it. So Pennsylvania has a House and Senate Republican majority. And so he's essentially doing exactly what Jen Psaki did, where she blamed the Republicans and said it was their fault that the police are being defunded. It was because of the Republicans that the police stations across the country are being defunded. But when someone asked her what Republicans, she couldn't name a single one. Krasner's office has overseen a striking decline in gun prosecutions, even as violent crime and gun arrests spike, as noted by the Philadelphia Inquirer, which reported in March that under Krasner, while gun crime arrests have been soaring, conviction rates have dropped significantly. Similarly, under Krasner's leadership, homicides in Philadelphia has increased by 58%. He went on to blame the NRA for the shooting as well. So this is another progressive, Democrat, left-leaning district attorney who will not prosecute people for crimes, just like the prosecutors in San Francisco. That's why crime is so bad there. That's why there's constant looting. Businesses are having to close early, and they can't do anything when someone is actively looting their stores, stealing their inventory, putting them in deficits when it comes to profits. They can't function. They can't continue to make money if people are constantly stealing everything that they have. But you have the people in the positions that can make a change doing nothing about it. You have district attorneys in Seattle when the constant rioting was going on. The Antifa and BLM rioters were attacking people, destroying federal buildings. None of them were prosecuted. Yeah, they were arrested, but they were let go. And if they were prosecuted, it wasn't heavily or fairly in relation to the crime that they committed. People get away scot-free with a slap on the wrist. On January 6th, everybody involved, every Democrat and every Republican, every conservative and every Republican that was associated with what happened, and even people that weren't associated but just hold the same views. Oh, you're an insurrectionist. It was an insurrection on January 6th. They destroyed federal property. They don't consider it a protest. Insurrection. You're domestic terrorists. There's plenty of people who spit out the same points that they see from CNN, from Vox, from all of these liberal and far left news sources. You're a domestic terrorist for what happened on January 6th. But when the protesters from the BLM and George Floyd protests, when they did the same thing to federal buildings in Seattle, when they were trying to block in police officers and set the building on fire. Oh, it's peaceful protesting. And you have a lot of these Democratic politicians supporting them and even encouraging it. But when it comes to Donald Trump, when he gave that speech on January 6th, oh, he told them to go do it. It's a problem when somebody else does it, but when you do it, it's not an issue. You're just fighting for equality, for fairness, for justice, for peace. You push for peace, but in your own cities, there's no peace. People are dying. People have to worry if they're going to get robbed. Businesses getting looted. And then eventually businesses are going to shut down. They can't make money. Constantly being looted. And under the Philadelphia DA's tenure, you have gun crime arrests have been soaring, but the conviction rates have been dropping significantly. And you have homicide increasing by 58%. If you're a burglar and you go to break into someone's house, would you rather have someone who is a lawful citizen who carries lawfully, who has weapons in the household to defend their homes and defend their lives? Or would you rather break into someone's house who doesn't have weapons, who doesn't have anything to protect themselves, who doesn't exercise their right to bear arms? If I was that criminal, it would be the house of the person who doesn't have weapons, because you wouldn't pose a significant threat. And this is what's going on. They're not being held accountable for the crimes that they commit. And so everybody is under the impression that, oh, there's no punishment. So if there's no punishment, why stop? This whole situation with the Philadelphia DA, it just reeks and parallels to the situation of Lori Lightfoot so much. Lori Lightfoot is in a position where she can make change. She can enact policies or crack down on crime, but instead you're allowing it to happen. But you want to blame everybody else. And then you want to be upset when people want to exercise their right, Second Amendment right, to bear arms, to protect themselves. Because people are seeing that their local district attorneys and government don't want to do it for you. They don't want to protect you. They're not doing anything about it. In fact, they're just making it easier for this type of behavior and crime to continue. So if there's no repercussions for your actions, why stop? I wouldn't. Republicans have held nearly completely control of the Pennsylvania state legislature for the last 30 years, during which crime in Philadelphia has mostly fallen. Under Krasner, homicides in Philadelphia have soared. At this time in 2018, the first year Krasner held office, there were 163 murders in the city. This year, there have been 294, an increase of 80%. Now, what most of these Democratic politicians, people of authority, district attorneys, what they normally do, the card they like to pull, is blame everybody else. Dump accountability. Reject the blame and project it onto someone else. Oh, crime is only an issue because of guns. Okay, you know that the issue lies with the weapons, with guns, but you as the district attorney won't do anything about it, won't prosecute about it, and allow the crime rates to soar. But it's the Republicans that hold the House and the Senate in the state because they won't pass legislation to restrict people's Second Amendment rights. You can't be blaming everyone else when you're the person to blame. Lori Lightfoot wants to say that 99.9% of the criticism that she receives is because she's a black female. No, just because you're terrible at your job. Terrible governor, just like this person is a terrible district attorney. They didn't directly acknowledge that the crime rates have increased significantly. But as the district attorney, you should know. And rather than pushing your agenda for political reasons, you just let people walk. You don't prosecute the people that are committing the crimes that contribute to these numbers. For what? A political message? I mean, it shouldn't come down to politics, to your stance in said politics, to care about the citizens in your district, in your city, in your state. Now, the main issue with politicians, people of power, district attorneys like this, you see how they handle situations You see how they respond. You see what they do. And if they do nothing, then why keep voting for them? Why keep people in those same positions to continue to do more of the same things? You can't keep people in position if they continue to do nothing but negatively impact your community, your state, your life. A majority of people who oppose citizens having the right to bear arms, carrying firearms, a majority of those people who fight to take that right away, it's because they're not considering that they'll ever be in that situation where they have to have, where they wish they had a firearm to protect themselves. But when that time comes, when they need that, then that's when they change. That's when they understand. Most of those people who want to defund the police, they point out every single thing that they believe is wrong with police departments, with law enforcement officers. They say that they don't need them. There's better alternatives. Community policing, sending counselors to scenes. But whenever something happens, the first person they call is 911, calling for a police officer. It's just the hypocrisy. This person, Larry Krasner, you're in a position that can have a direct influence on these crime rates, but you're doing nothing about it. Crime's increasing, prosecutions decreasing. That trend will continue until something's done. If you are a politician, senator, president, if you're a district attorney, if you are someone in a powerful position that can positively or negatively impact my community and my life, then I will hold you accountable for your actions. Will you?